All right, what is up? Well, not everyone quite yet. Still waiting for some people to show up. But welcome to another episode of Chef Life Live. I am your host, Chef Alex Ottusch, and on this show, we take a little deeper look, a no garnish approach to food service, and talking to some of the people who comprise this very vast, diverse industry. Still waiting on viewers to kind of come in, so there we go. We got someone. Hello, viewer. Thanks for stopping by. And our guest tonight is Miss Sara Frasca. She's a very interesting person. Sara is the Chief Marketing Officer of a business called FIREPROOF. It's a global business coaching firm. She helps leading organizations cultivate human imagination, build a culture of accountability, and solve complex problems to drive business growth. Sara is the go-to resource for leaders seeking competitive advantage and sustainable success by harnessing alignment, marketing, and data. Prior to FIREPROOF, Sara spent 13 years at General Mills in multiple leadership roles. She is also an account director at the interactive agency Eatery, leading the forefront of digital transformation for Fortune 500 brands. Sara is also the founder and proud owner of Trasca and company Eatery, and was named the 2017 Female Entrepreneur of the Year in Jacksonville, Florida. So very impressive. So let's bring her on and get to know her just a little bit more. Hello.
Hello, Chef. How are you this evening?
How are you? I'm doing great. Very well. How are you?
I'm also great. Good to see you again.
You too. It has been a while. Yeah, haven't been in Jacksonville in a minute, so makes sense. But yeah, so thank you so much for being here tonight. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself other than what I just mentioned in my little intro?
Well, I would love to. So I am from Minnesota. I moved down to Florida and recognized the need for, I would say, artisan food in an unpretentious place. So that's why I opened a restaurant and joined the food service industry, and never looked back. I mean, it's been 5.5 years now that we've been open, and lots of ups and downs. But that's obviously where I met you, and have had a really fun time meeting folks like yourself that just have a passion for food and service. And so I think you mentioned a couple of the components of my background. I also have 5 children, which I don't know if I had all 5 when I knew you. So that's been really fun, and that's my world.
Very cool. So you're not originally from Florida, right? Minnesota, you said?
Yeah, I actually follow the path of the Penino, and we'll probably get into a little bit more about the Penino, but that's the artisan sandwich that my family has served since 1974, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
So the Penino was invented by my grandmother back in 1974 in Colorado Springs. And I was born in Colorado Springs, and then my parents actually brought the Penino to Minnesota. So I grew up in Minnesota. I went to high school there. I went to college there. I worked at General Mills, as you mentioned. And my path brought me down to Northeast Florida. I live in a little community called Ponte Vedra Beach, which it's a really beautiful community right on the Atlantic Ocean. And man, we have a great time down here. It's beautiful weather. I feel bad for the folks in areas like yourself where you're so kind of trapped right now during COVID, but you can always come visit me. Florida's a great place during COVID, I think, because we can get outside. So anyway, that's right.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. Well, I saw a bunch of people posting funny memes about Florida being it was in the 60s or 50s the other week, and everyone was all bundled up because it's way too cold for Floridians when it gets that cold.
Yes. Yeah, you don't have to feel bad for us. It never gets too bad. But I did have to scrape ice off my windshield the other day, so got close.
That's pretty cold for Florida for sure. I mean, Minnesota, I guess I've never been there, but do they have like a decent like food scene for the most part, or like that you remember at least?
Chef, it's amazing. I would say it is one of the best food scenes that I've ever come across. I certainly love Chicago as well and other markets. I actually am a big fan of Austin, but anyways, back to the Twin Cities. I really, really appreciate the diverse types of food. I mean, different ethnicities. There are just tremendous chef-led restaurants, as well as kind of, more traditional Minnesotan creations, casserole type. I mean, really, really cool spots. Yeah, you've got to check out the Twin Cities.
Yeah, I do. I will have to eventually check that out once we can freely travel and dine anywhere. That would be ideal. So you mentioned some of your favorite like food cities, but what are some of your favorite foods?
Well, besides the Penino, I think I probably would choose Italian as my favorite kind of, genre of food. I lived in Italy for a little bit, so I really kind of came to appreciate all of the kind of, vastness in the Italian cuisine. I am a vegetarian, which is kind of interesting in a restaurant. But I have been a vegetarian since I was 6, and I've never really gone back.
Wow.
Yeah. But I also love Mexican food. I love Thai food. I love mac and cheese. I mean, I love all sorts of food.
Just a little bit of everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. Have you eaten anything great lately that really stuck out?
Good question. One of our family's favorites right now, we started making them at Trasca. We have these little energy bites. So they are made of granola. They have little chocolate chips in them. They have peanut butter, and they're delightful. So I would say, kind of fun. I mean, it's kind of trendy and cool. So we started making them at the restaurant. And so that's what my family's kind of doing right now. Yeah. They're just little sized. You can just eat them as a snack. Kind of fun.
Yeah, for sure. Julie Monrad, who is also my fiance, is asking what's the best type of casserole in your opinion?
All right. Well, I am, again, I have to caveat my answer with the fact that I'm a vegetarian. So my favorite casseroles have broccoli and cheese in them, and any other sort of collection of things, other vegetables, even potatoes. I've had some great casseroles, but my kids love the casserole that I'll call her my bonus mom. After my mom passed away, my dad remarried. She's my bonus mom, and we adore her, and she makes an amazing tater tot hot dish that everybody in my family loves. So it does have meat, but everybody else loves it.
I mean, most things with tater tots, it's pretty good. So
hard to beat.
I can't imagine that. Yeah, hard to beat tater tots. Do you have a favorite food spot in Jacksonville besides your own restaurant?
So, yeah, I mean, I would say it depends on the occasion. My husband and I love to go to some areas. If you remember kind of the Neptune Beach area, the Beaches Town Center, where they have the Flying Iguana, there's Hawkers, some of those spots. We love all the fish camps. They're amazing.
And
then Taco Lou. Can't beat Taco Lou. So places like that. But if it's a fancier occasion, I really love the Medore brothers. So I love Medores. Those two brothers are just so classically trained. I've never had anything bad there, and I would recommend it to anyone.
Yeah, thanks. I tell people all the time I miss Hawkers like so much.
Yes.
Like that place is so good.
I agree.
Yeah. With the pandemic and everything going on, and I'm sure you stayed fairly busy, but did you happen to have like a pandemic binge watching show?
Oh, several. I mean, gosh, we're going on 9 months now? Let's see. Let me think. I am catching up right at this very moment on House of Cards, which I don't know why I'd never seen it, but I hadn't. So we've gone back. Ethan and I are watching that. We also loved Yellowstone. So yeah, some fun ones. I think The Queen's Gambit is next on the list. So
yeah, I gotta check that one out still.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're pretty busy with all the shows. That's great.
It's been fun.
Yeah. So as a restaurant owner, which part of it do you think is more exciting, like the food aspect of it or the marketing side of it?
Good question. I love food. I always have. I think I have a real passion for finding good artisan quality food. And I don't know, I think I spotted that you might have been from Michigan originally. Is that true?
That is true.
You know Zingerman's out of Ann Arbor, Michigan? Okay.
Yeah.
So they say, and this is what I'm going to quote, that you really can taste a difference. So whether or not I just came to appreciate this through the years of eating, but I truly believe that you can taste the love that an artisan producer puts into their food, whether it's a homemade granola or whether it is artisan pasta or a sauce or honestly, even a craft cocktail. I think there is such a big distinction for me. So I truly appreciate when someone is an artisan of their craft and they're actually, using an older artisan type of time-tested, formula, process, etc. That said, marketing is really my kind of wheelhouse, and I grew my business chops at General Mills in a marketing function, and I just love it. I love the idea that the more we can share our brand and connect with people and have that authentic, sincere communication to attract the people that will love your brand, your business, your product. I love marketing. So marketing a restaurant, has its own nuances, and I've really appreciated kind of getting to know our community, getting to know what motivates folks to come out, bring their families, etc. So I don't know if I could actually say they're both very equally dear to me. So
that makes sense. That's fair. And so, I mean, you work a lot. You have a lot on your plate right now with owning the restaurant and being part of FIREPROOF and a lot of other things. But when you are at home or wherever and you're working, do you prefer silence or music?
Silence, actually. Yeah, I find that I've done a lot of kind of mindfulness practice. I've done a lot of, yoga and meditation, and the quiet is really powerful for me. So I always choose quiet.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I'm exactly the opposite. I can't handle like dead silence. It just bothers me. I need something, like even if it's just a clicking or a ticking clock or something. I need to hear something. I don't know why, but.
That's cool. Well, the fact that that, I think, is a good thing, Alex. I mean, I think the more we know ourselves, the better we can kind of be in our zone.
Absolutely. So you mentioned yoga and meditation. Are those some of the things that you do to kickstart your daily productivity?
No, coffee would be the way.
Have a different routine for that.
Coffee is my answer there. Yeah. 1 cup a day. No one wants me having more than 1 cup, chef. I get a little wild.
Okay.
Yes. So coffee is how I start my day, and I do love my coffee machine that I have at home, and I have a little latte or a little dirty chai where I put a double shot into a chai latte. That's my routine.
That's fair. I'm the same way. Coffee is how I have to start my days for sure. Well, how do you like to spend your time off from work?
Well, as you know, we live right next to the beach. My family is very active. We have 5 kids between the ages of 14 and 7. So there's lots and lots of activities. We've got football and baseball and street hockey that we play. And, it's a lot of sports. It's a lot of outside stuff. And then the beach. We really do enjoy going to the beach. Lots of outdoor, water park activities during the summer, or even, going to the beach and the pool. So I would say, when I'm not working, I'm just with my kids and my family.
All right, fair enough. Laura Brunke, who's also my mom watching, wants
Cool.
to know if your whole family is vegetarian.
Actually, I'm the only one. Even in my kind of family of origin, I was the only vegetarian. So growing up, my poor mother, oh, bless her soul, she would make a family lasagna and then a mini lasagna for Sarah, or a shepherd's pie and then a mini shepherd's pie for Sarah. I mean, it's actually kind of painful to think back. I mean, I don't know why she allowed me to do that, but she did, and very gracefully said, no problem. You're not going to eat meat. We can support that. And
That's
so,
great.
yeah. But I will say, this is going to surprise you. My husband does most of the cooking in my home. He is an amazing cook, and he has no interest in running a restaurant, but he does the majority of the cooking, and I benefit every single day from his cooking.
That's great. That's awesome. All right. So my last little kind of getting to know you icebreaker question with the holiday season upon us already. What is one of your favorite family holiday traditions?
Let's see. Yeah, I would say, decorating the house is always fun. We get a real tree. We always go as a family to pick it out. The kids get to pick it, and we bring it home and we decorate it. And I would say that's a really memorable part. I will tell you, I will say that we have dozens of traditions. So we have a countdown clock, and there's advent calendars, and I think there's just so many parts about having children that are so fun during this time of year. They really enjoy it, and I enjoy watching them enjoy it.
That's great. Yeah, I'm sure it's difficult to just nail down that one holiday tradition, but because they're also great. All right, now that we've gotten to know you just a little bit more, we're going to head into the next round of questionings, which require no garnish. Okay, so obviously the pandemic is, hurting a lot of businesses. How has it affected your business specifically?
Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of the yin and yang to this because, I am very grateful. I do believe with all my soul that we will be one of the lucky ones that makes it out of this. And I will tell you that I believe we are going to be better coming out of this than we were going in. When the pandemic started, I think, it was a little bit of a surreal moment, and I'm sure so many restaurant owners and restaurant employees can commiserate. And we went into a little bit of a panic mode, trying to research, trying to figure out what the heck does this virus do? I mean, everything is, as intimate on the details as how does the virus live? Does it live on surfaces? Mm-hmm. You have to, sanitize everything after every few minutes. Like what do we have to do here? If we have something that goes through the oven, can the virus? So anyway, my point is not to get into too many details, but we just tried to understand it. I'm very, very fortunate. One of my best friends is from Johns Hopkins. She's in the industry. She is dealing with antibodies and all of the different parts to the virus. So, we really had intimate knowledge pretty early on about what we had to do and what we didn't need to do. So for example, early on, even when they didn't have a lot of information, we knew that when it went in the oven, it would kill the virus. So, so here's how here's one of our pivots. We knew that if we made meals to go instead of our normal products, we could make meals to people's homes. They could bake them in their own ovens, and no matter what, they would be safe, right? So once you got this in a home and in their oven, they would be able to provide a meal for their family that was, delicious, nutritious, convenient for them. And knew with 100% certainty that the virus couldn't live, so we knew it was safe. So we were able to go to nursing homes. We were able to go to some communities in our area that were senior citizens because we were able to make a connection with these communities. Not to mention we went to other neighborhoods, with a more general population, but we knew for a fact that we could safely provide food to these communities where they couldn't go anywhere, they couldn't have any visitors, etc. So The knowledge of how this virus worked, again, having this kind of person on the inside, if you will, was paramount to our business. From there, I will say that every week we pivoted. Every week we had to do something different. Our business model changed on a weekly basis and still is since this started. And as painful as that sounds, it's very true. I mean, we've gone through, the ups and downs of this, having it, all the way closed, having part of it open, being able to bring food to neighborhoods, not being able to bring food anymore to neighborhoods, and having to find a new way to maneuver, every single week. So yeah, it's been a challenge. I think we're all going to have a few more gray hairs. There are some tragedies out there. I mean, just heart-wrenching, gut-wrenching stories. And I think, again, the best blessing of all is we have not had to lay anyone off. I've not had to,
that's great.
Yeah, I didn't have to furlough anyone. I mean, we truly have had a team unit since the beginning. So we're very fortunate. Great. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Did it affect the way you had to market your business after the pandemic hit?
It did. So, people became a little bit more desperate for a service or for the convenience of not having to go out. So we've relied very heavily on our neighborhood delivery events. So for example, we take in orders and then we deliver the food. And people can order right off of our menu. And as you know, we do, pizza, we have salads, we have all sorts of things. And then we have this very special Penino sandwich, which is best served hot, I will say. So the challenge there is that, to supplement our revenue, we brought our entire menu as it stood before the pandemic, but we added grab and go items and these marketplace items that were meals, for meal for one, meal for two, meal for a family, and we were able to support the community. So for example, we would say, all right, we're going to show up at let's just say, the Coastal Oaks neighborhood. We'll be there at 5 p.m. on Friday night. Just come to our kind of pop-up location, pick up your food, and then your family has their meal.
Okay.
So that was one of our solutions. I know others throughout the country have done other things, but that was really how we served our community.
Yeah, a lot of people in a lot of business restaurant owners in Chicago started setting up like the marketplaces that people could do grab and goes and delivery when they weren't offering it before. So it's been really incredible to see how businesses have adapted all over. But unfortunately, every state is different, that has had different restrictions. Do you think that Florida and like St. Johns County took the proper steps to help businesses while keeping people safe?
Well, I'll give you my honest answer. And unfortunately, it involves politics, which I generally do not like to discuss. But I would say my personal opinions are not the same as my business opinions in this case. So, I think that the state of Florida has not had the same shutdowns that a lot of other states have. They have not been as conservative. My home state, what I consider my home state of Minnesota, has been much more conservative. And I appreciate that from a personal perspective because of people that I love that are of a bracket that they are more susceptible to getting the virus. However, my business is not going bankrupt because of the way that Florida has handled it. And again, my gratitude is that my team, my team of people that rely on their income for their families are able to continue paying their rent, paying their mortgage, putting food on their tables. I don't know. I don't know of another situation where I have had to separate and compartmentalize my beliefs so much because though I wouldn't have made the same decisions as our governor, I appreciate the decisions from a business perspective. So I don't know. I kind of throw up my hands to it, Chef, and
Yeah. No, that's absolutely fair. It's been very difficult. Just here in Chicago and Illinois, we have all these restrictions coming into place, and it's just hurting so many people, and it's just so many ups and downs where it's like, yes, this is good. We're trying to, cap this virus. We're trying to get control of it. But it's like, what's the longevity, or what's the, end result of all the people that aren't working or anything? So it is hard for a lot of people, I'm sure, to be okay with one thing but not the other, and vice versa. So it's tough now for everybody, with regardless of like how you believe about certain things. People are forced to be flexible now, and it's tough.
Yeah,
for sure. But
yeah.
So with
thank you for allowing my kind of blended answer on that, because it's hard to make it.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
It is tough. It's not, it can't really be one thing or the other necessarily. And I mean, there's definitely people who think one way or the other, but with, you being a business owner, you kind of have to, it's like, yes, I want to make sure that my family and friends are being safe, but then I have employees who are also like family and friends that rely on me for their livelihood in a sense. Yeah. And so it's really hard. But kudos to you for keeping it going.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This, we have the Mayo Clinic very near our restaurant. So the Mayo Clinic Jacksonville is located within a couple of miles. So I think the one way that I have been able to come to terms with the entire thing is that we have not let down our guard on the sanitation that we have, the food safety, of course. I think being able to kind of stand in front of my business, knowing that we have the practices to keep safe everything we are doing, no matter the stage of open, close, to go, dining room, whatever, we have always upheld the absolute most conservative standards in order to say, the reason I say this is that, again, the Mayo is in our backyard, that people with, suppressed immune or compromised immunity, like if they are getting chemo at the Mayo, I want them to feel comfortable coming to Trasca. I want them to feel we will do everything right. And we have. So, and we haven't let down our guard on that. So I feel very proud about that.
Yeah, you should. Absolutely. So moving away from the pandemic, because, and we're all getting tired of the pandemic and hearing about it and everything, but we got to talk about it still. It's important. But moving away from it now, since you have a background in marketing and branding, like, how did you decide to open a restaurant?
So, when I moved down here from Minnesota and I moved to Florida, I had little kids. I had toddlers, infants actually, but I couldn't find a restaurant that had that artisan quality food in an unpretentious place where you could go and not feel uncomfortable, right? I mean, as much as I love Madure, as much as I love the fish camps, like, you can't really bring your toddler and not feel a little bit uncomfortable that like the people next to you are on a date or like a business meeting or like they want a fancier occasion. So my point being, I wanted to bring this to life of, you come as you are. You might be in a business meeting, you might be on a date, or you might have your 2-year-old and nobody cares at Frasca. And that's the type of very rustic, very handcrafted, very comfortable environment that I wanted to bring to the beaches area, so that people's needs were met. I felt it was an unmet need, basically. The other piece is that, I knew that the Penino sandwich was special. It has been something in my family, and it's, I'm very loyal to it. It's a part of my culture and my upbringing and my family. But people crave it. It is so special and it's so delicious and it hits on a number of trends. It's convenient, it's portable, it's customizable, it's a sandwich, so it kind of fits into, Anyway, point being, I knew that this was the type of food that could do well here. So all of that came together and came to lead me to do this.
All right. Did you have any experience in food service before you decided to do this?
Well, I mean, I grew up in the restaurant business. I was, bussing tables at age 10, probably. I don't even know. I used, quarter tips from the cute little lady in the booth. And so I rose through the ranks of my family's restaurant. It was owned by my aunt and uncle. And, I did everything. I bartended and served and supervised and, so yes, I did have some experience. I would say, I mean, there's no question in my mind that working in a restaurant never quite prepared me for owning a restaurant. It's a very different endeavor. And, you know, I've continued to learn every single day, week. I still am learning to this day how to run this restaurant appropriately and to the best of my ability. But yeah, so that's kind of my background.
Okay, that makes sense. Now you mentioned that the goal of the restaurant, you want to create this really casual place where everyone can enjoy just artisan food, and it didn't matter like your background or what you were doing for the day. Did you have any other like missions for the restaurant when you opened it? Like, did you have dreams of like franchising or becoming that institution in Ponte Vedra?
Well, you know, I don't know what we will be when we grow up, but I am not in this as a get rich scheme. I mean, it's just not that type of a business. So I'm in it for the long haul. And I would say this is going to be a marathon and not a sprint. And I have therefore made decisions that probably diminish my margin and make it a, you know, a longer term project to begin with. As you know, I mean, you know, for a more profitable enterprise, you cut labor. And in my opinion, that diminishes the service quality. And it means that, you know, you don't have enough people to serve your guests properly. That's, again, this is my opinion. And then I also believe in the quality of the ingredients. So I've always chosen high quality ingredients. I probably could have chosen, you know, a higher margin item and we could be making more money, but it's not that way for me. It's not, I don't do it for that. I do it because I want to serve my community. I want to carry on my family's legacy. Now, that said, my goal is, you know, probably more restaurants at some point. I would say, you know, Trasca and Company Eatery, we join forces all the time with our cousins to the west. I mean, these are my literal cousins running cousin restaurants in Fort Collins, Colorado, Colorado Springs, Colorado. And, you know, at some point, I would say my goal is to have more and to, you know, kind of build the enterprise, certainly.
Yeah, very cool. Well, if you ever come to Chicago, you know someone here is.
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Good.
Since Trasca's been open for a few years now, 6 years to be right, but yeah,
it's almost 6 years.
Yep. Almost 6 years. Okay. Has your goals changed from when you first opened to like now that you have been open for almost 6 years?
Yeah, a little bit. I would say, you know, probably. I would say my biggest answer for that is that I reflect back on how, you know, gung-ho I was on building a restaurant. And the change that I've made over the years is that I have to run it like a business. And, you know, you can't go into this not understanding how to manage a P&L, not understanding how to, you know, manipulate the marketing levers to drive people, you know, to drive traffic. I think the data that we take advantage of now is way more robust than we ever have. You know, the one last piece on this, and I know we have a little bit different of a model because we're a fast casual, but I truly believe that the restaurant is one unit. I do not think of it as front of house and back of house. I did at the beginning. But when you've got your team aligned over the entire operation, they work in a little bit more alignment. There's no pointing fingers of, oh, the back of the house did this and the front of the house did this wrong and da-da-da-da. Like, they don't do that. They're working together to build the base, to build the business, to make sure that the customers are served, you know, to the best of our abilities. So, I mean, I think the business principles that I've not only learned through other parts of my world, but have learned through operating the restaurant, I think have been some of the most valuable things that I've learned and then applied to actually make this go.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's great. So which, in the restaurant industry, as far as like what I've read as with opening new restaurants, this question is kind of like which came first, chicken or the egg. But did you have your concept first or your location first? Like which one of those came first?
Yeah, it's a little easier in my case because, again, I'm carrying on my family's legacy. with
That's
this
true.
sandwich. So I knew that the panino was a part of the concept. I will say that, part of it morphed a little bit as we got to know the community, got to know what people needed. And there wasn't a great pizza in our area. Again, I'm obviously very biased, so there's other pizza restaurants, but I think we have one of the best quality pizzas in the area. And I didn't know how much pizza was going to play a role when I first opened. I thought, it would be a lunch restaurant, and it has evolved to be just as much dinner as it is lunch.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Did you have any other locations like Jack's Beach or like Neptune or Atlantic Beach? Any other locations other than Ponte Vedra?
Yeah, this may shock some of our customers, but yeah, we actually signed a lease in Jack's Beach before we ever came to Ponte Vedra, and the landlord actually defaulted on the lease because they couldn't get the parking lot to fit the needs of a restaurant. So pretty interesting. We were right up by one of the very first Maple Street biscuit locations, and I got to know Scott Moore pretty well. Wonderful, wonderful. He was going to be a neighbor, so we got to know each other. We were, having a good alliance. And then again, the landlord defaulted, and we had to go with our backup location, which was in the Ponte Vedra Beach.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's a story that I haven't told very often, but it is kind of a, you wonder how much luck and how much kind of destiny plays a role. We certainly have been happy in our place. Really happy.
Yeah, you should be. It's a really cool location. That whole kind of, I don't want to say market, but yeah, that whole little area there. It's got a lot of really cool shops and stuff. Yeah. So if I remember correctly, when I first applied for Trasca, it was for a head chef position, was it not? It was something along those lines.
It was indeed.
It was very good that you passed on me. I was definitely not qualified for that position.
Aww.
I was just getting way too ahead of myself with what I was doing. But how did you go about finding, since you don't really have that like cooking background or a chef background, how did you go about actually finding a head chef then?
Yeah, good question. And you were a suitable candidate. We chose another, and he was great. But, actually we've evolved to need less and less of a culinary chef. We have a team of folks that have great culinary training, but we're really using all of my family's recipes. And their creativity, I shouldn't diminish their role. I mean, honestly, some of the things they come up with, I've never seen before and never heard of. And they are tremendously, tremendously talented folks. But we have less of a traditional chef than I did at the beginning. And it's been a great fit for us. I would say we're more comfort food than, just kind of a culinary sensation. Although, of course, I think we're pretty delectable, but a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, you're sticking with comfort food. You're kind of sticking with what people know, with changing it, little effects here and there to give it personality, but not shooting for, molecular gastronomy or anything like that. Just good, approachable food.
That's right.
Yeah. So with it being a more casual place and you don't have that, like, I guess, I don't want to say unofficial head chef, but with a lot of restaurants, there's that yes chef culture of when the chef says something, yes chef, and it's done to extreme levels pretty much. Does that culture exist in your restaurant, and does the head chef deal with it in a certain way?
So I would say we have a pretty different culture. We have an accountability chart. We have kind of, different roles in the organization, and it's a work in progress, but I think it's a really good kind of way for us to align our teams. Our head of the restaurant is a gentleman named Dominic Rossi, and he's our general manager. He also does not have any, classical chef training, but he can certainly find his way around the kitchen, and he's amazing with our guests and our team. So the thing, that I mentioned about running it like a business, this is one of the biggest components of shifts that I've ever done during the tenure of Trasca, and that was following an EOS-led model. So EOS stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System, and it's a way of aligning your business to have people in, again, more business traditional roles. So you've got someone in charge of finance seat. You have someone in charge of the sales seat. You have someone in charge of the marketing seat. You have someone in charge of operations. So we have all of those things. When what they're bringing to life still looks like a restaurant. We're still serving the product of food and ranch dressing or whatever the case may be, but it comes to life a little bit differently. So no, we do not have the type of yes chef culture that you're describing. We have, kind of an accountability and an alignment chart that more matches, a typical business. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that tracks. I feel like a lot of restaurants are starting to somewhat move towards that, just because in some restaurants, the yes chef culture is getting a little extreme, and it's starting to, people are recognizing it, and it is somewhat going away. It definitely still exists, but I think businesses are trying to move more towards that, of kind of like an equality run thing in a sense.
Yeah.
So kind of like what you're describing.
Yeah. I mean, I have never really been a part of a restaurant like that. I have certainly watched enough, pop culture to see that in movies and shows and whatnot. But, I think of it a little bit more as it's a little more militant. The operation that I'm running is a little bit more of a family, honestly. I mean, I think the people on our team are helping each other because it's the right thing to do, and because they respect and love each other and want to, sincerely help each other. And I may be naive in this. You could ask them the same question and possibly get a different answer. But from what I can tell, they're doing it because they know it's the right thing to do. So anyway.
Yeah. Now, with your menu, there's a lot of different things on it, but it was started with the Penino, correct?
Yes.
Can you tell us, like, what is a Penino?
Oh, the Penino. Okay. So it's baked flat like a pizza. So you have to picture it is like a pizza dough, but the dough is our secret family recipe. So it is truly an artisan product. We make it every single day. No one knows how to make the dough except me in Trasca, and of course my cousins in the other restaurants. So the dough is made fresh every day. It's rolled very flat, very thin, again, like a pizza. All the ingredients are baked on top. The cheeses, the meats, the vegetables, the sauces. So it goes through our oven. And then when it comes out, it's rolled up, cut in half. So you eat it like a sandwich, but it's more of a roll up with everything inside. So there's lots of different varieties. Our most popular is called the turkey avocado. It has Swiss cheese. It has fresh tomato. It has fresh avocado. It has, just really, really beautiful turkey breast. And our homemade ranch. It is amazing. My personal favorite is called the spaghetti pie. Did you ever have a spaghetti pie?
I have, yes.
Yeah. So it has spaghetti noodles in it. It has a mozzarella cheese, our homemade meatballs, all in the middle. And then it's smothered over the top with our homemade marinara, garnished with Parmesan. It is amazing. That's my favorite.
That sounds really good. Yeah. I can't remember which one I had when I've been in. I think it was maybe, I don't remember which one it was, but it was really good. I do remember it being very good. So
thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. Have your views on marketing or branding changed since opening a restaurant?
That's funny. My views on marketing are constantly shifting. I mean, I would say yes, but they would have changed anyway. I think the world is shifting. The world is changing. I don't believe that there is a static formula. In fact, again, my opinion here, but I really and truly would say that anyone who tells you they've got the secret formula for marketing and they know exactly what's going to work, I think they are blowing smoke. I mean, in my opinion, and from what I have learned over my years, it is hard work. It is constantly evolving. It is constant testing and learning and changing and pivoting and trying different things. And what worked last month might not work next month. It is that much flux. And I would say, compounded by the world we're living now, where people can't go through their normal patterns. The normal seasonality and the normal, world that we're living in is just, it's not going to be the same.
Yeah.
Certainly in the short term, but I don't think it'll ever be the same. So yeah, I mean, I would say, gosh, Chef, I don't know if I could ever keep up with social media. I don't have enough time to know all the latest and greatest. So I rely on a lot of agencies. I rely on a lot of young folks that work at these agencies that are experts and help give me counsel. So anyway, that's kind of my answer there.
Okay. That makes sense. I mean, I'm sure in the world of marketing, just like restaurants and like food culture, it's changing like all the time. Like trends that were last summer probably might not be around this summer, but so it's kind of the same thing. So I don't even know how you do it with handling a restaurant and marketing at the same time and keeping up with everything. It's incredible.
Well, thank you.
You're very welcome. So how did you become an entrepreneur?
I think I kind of always had it in me. I think one of my superpowers is creating. I think I genuinely like to create things. And that's how I kind of know that there won't only be one Frasca, as kind of a sneak preview to my life. I think I just can't sit still that long. I've got to do something. I've got to create. I have so much fun researching and thinking through and visualizing what it will come to life like. And, yeah. Does that help answer that one?
No, it does. Absolutely. I mean, yeah. I mean, I would imagine that most entrepreneurs, they, have that creativity and they just like, they can't sit and like, well, I'm going to work for this long to do it. They're like, I got to create this now. And so, kudos to you for being able to do that. I think it's also very incredible.
Well, thank you.
You're very welcome. Are there any failures that you've particularly learned from in being an entrepreneur?
Quite a few. Yes, of course. I think that's one of the gifts of being an entrepreneur is you have to just keep trying. And, you don't talk to the ones who have lost their shirts. You don't hear about the entrepreneurs that gave up after a failure. I mean, the ones that make it, the ones that are successful, it's because they have, to use one of the things that I talk about in all of my innovation keynote speeches, you fall 7, you stand up 8. I mean, you cannot give up. You cannot allow yourself to, pay too much attention to the failures or you just won't get yourself back up. So yes is the answer. I've made many failures with marketing. I've made, many failed attempts with employees. I've given people too many chances. I've kept people around too long. I've hired the wrong person here and there. I've had products that just didn't work or specials or events that flopped. I mean, gosh, I remember one year I did a terrible job with our anniversary. It was like our 3rd birthday party, our 3rd anniversary was so busy, excuse me, that I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off, right? So then the next year, on the 4th anniversary, I think it was, I can't quite remember exactly the year, nobody came. So I did like the exact opposite. It's like I didn't market it enough. I didn't do the right things. I didn't have the right people in place. I just, for whatever reason, and I think, again, that's part of the testing and learning. That's part of the pivoting. That's part of the growth that makes us successful is that we learn from our mistakes. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah. I mean, just with the show and YouTube and everything, and yeah, there's a lot of different testing involved, and I wouldn't say I've hit my stride quite yet, but I'm working on it. Yeah. I have amazing people like you to talk to, and hopefully, there's people that want to hear your story because it's great, everything that you've done. So,
well, thank you.
You're welcome. Have you faced any challenges with entrepreneurship with being a woman?
No, I don't think so. I am pretty stout in my belief in myself. And I would say, for many years, I was the only woman in the boardroom. So it gave me the confidence to know that I had a place in this environment. I have a place in these conversations. So even if someone else has a doubt or a misgiving or, has that type of, just kind of sexist philosophy or chauvinism or whatever the case. I really pay it no mind, to be very frank. I think, yeah. So I don't give it any attention. I don't give it any power. Therefore, it doesn't have any power over me.
That's great. That's the attitude you got to have.
Yeah. I know it's out there, me, but I try to rise above it, and I think I have.
Yeah, clearly you're doing it, right? I mean, so you have a lot going on with kids, the restaurant, and everything else that you're doing. Like, how do you balance your personal and your professional life?
So, good question. I have an amazing husband, first of all. He is a really, really terrific partner. He is a teacher, and he is just an amazing human, but he's an amazing kind of life partner in that he is super supportive, and we kind of, balance each other out and each other's priorities for the week or the day or whatever's happening. He does the lion's share of the cooking, which I mentioned. He does the lion's share of, a lot of the other things in our home as I run the business and kind of help to build FIREPROOF. The other piece is that, I think as a parent, I've really been able to delegate. I think, not only with the kids, I mean, there's 5 of them. We have like a small army. So, I don't have to be the only one that does the laundry or the dishes or whatever. So we do a good job there. I think, helping our kids to learn, the value of doing chores and, being a part of keeping their rooms clean or whatever it is. And then having a great team. I mean, I think, a lot of people talk about that, but when you can truly trust that, because I should tell you, I mean, Chef, I'm not at the restaurant that much. I am there. I'm not there every day. I check in with the team probably every day, but I have an amazing general manager and an amazing leadership team and an amazing crew that they have each other's backs. And the trust that I have that they will attend to our guests and our food quality and the consistency necessary. And we're not perfect. There's no business in this world that can pretend to be perfect, just like no human can. But when we make a mistake, we will make it right. And I think, giving them the tools that they know how to act in my stead. They know what my philosophy would be in any situation. I mean, that's the best I can do. I cannot serve every guest, but my team serves them as if I was there. So that honestly gives me the peace of mind to step back, and that becomes a snowball of love. The more empowerment, the more decisions they make, the more confidence they have, and then it just keeps going, and the business grows because they're able to lead it. And that's again, I think the model that I have chosen, and I just love my people. So
that's great.
That's how I get it done.
Awesome. Well, like I said, you're doing it. And so obviously you got a good system going. So yeah, keep it going. All right. Well, that is, since we're nearing our hour, and that was the bulk of the main questions that I had for you. So now we're going to move in just a little bit lighter section of the lightning round. Okay, so lightning round, just whatever pops in your head, fast as possible. First up, if you could have one superpower, what would it be and why?
Ooh. Being able to see into the future, because boy, would that help my business.
Right? Yeah. That's a good one. Are you a morning or a night person?
Morning, 100%. I basically wilt after 10 p.m. Can't function.
That's so funny. That's fair. You mentioned this earlier, so it might be a given, but coffee or tea?
Well, both, but I choose coffee in the morning and I choose decaf tea in the afternoon.
Okay, that's fair. That's good. You should, sidetrack here. Michael Pollan wrote a book, Caffeine. You should check it out. He talks about people who do coffee in the morning and then like decaf tea in the afternoon. You should check it out. It's good.
Okay, I will.
Yeah. it's a short book, but it's good. It's interesting. So quick tip. But
Cool.
all right, next up, do you work to live or live to work?
Oh gosh, I would say I love my work. I throw out anything in my world that does not fit my passions, does not bring me joy. So I definitely would say that I live to work, but I choose work that I love.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, next up, if you could trade places with one person for a day, who would it be and why?
Oh, wow. Well, boy, I'm supposed to do this as fast as I can. That's a very tricky question.
It is kind
Yeah. Huh. I think I may trade places with my husband. He works with children every day, all day, and then he's home with our five in the evenings. I think it would give me greater empathy for what he does, and I think it would give him greater empathy for what I do. So I think not that we don't have empathy for each other, but I think that would be a terrific example of just kind of walking a mile in the other's shoes and
yeah,
become fun.
yeah. It's a good answer. It's good. All right, next up, describe yourself in 3 words.
Ooh. Passionate, warm, and scrappy.
Scrappy. All right,
Yeah.
those are good. Good words. All right, next, if you could travel anywhere in the world tomorrow, where would you go and why?
Oh, so easy. Gosh. So easy because it is where my soul resides, Chef. I love a little place called Glenwood Springs, Colorado. And I grew up in there with my family of origin, as well as my extended family. And now I take my children there. I try to go every year. We have not gone during COVID, and I'm just chomping at the bit. So it's the world's largest outdoor hot springs pool, and nestled in the mountains. It's incredible.
That sounds incredible. Sounds very nice. You're giving me a lot of vacation tips after this is all over, places I need to go. So
Totally.
yeah. All right, next, if you had a yacht, what would you name it?
Oh gosh. Stay away, sharks.
Stay away, sharks. It's good.
Yeah, because then
I don't know if sharks can read, but that's fine. We'll get it.
I wouldn't have a yacht is the answer. So
Okay, that's fair.
I think that's part of the problem. But if I did, maybe. I wouldn't want any sharks to come around it. So
that's fair. That's why you have to you have to have a house like in Michigan, on Lake Michigan, and you can just have a yacht on the lake, and then there's no sharks. Okay.
Well, so that I could probably do. Okay.
There we go.
I'd come up with a new name.
Yeah, then you might need a new name. Stay away, salmon or perch, maybe. Something like that. But all right, next up. What TV sitcom family would you be a member of?
Ooh. Well, I'm going to say the Brady Bunch. That's the first one that came to my head. We have a blended family. So I have 2 biological children, 3 stepchildren. So we are kind of our own little Brady Bunch. So that's what that's how I would answer it.
That's a good one. It seemed like a fun family to be a part of anyway, so that's a good one.
Totally.
All right, last question. And since 2020 has been kind of a doozy for pretty much everybody, what have you done this year that you are most proud of?
Well, I think surviving the pandemic from a business perspective is probably one of the tops. But I will tell you, I mean, again, I consider myself very fortunate. I haven't had quite the crisis that a lot of folks have. And I traveled a lot last year and the years, prior. So I have been home for my family this year in 2020. And I probably would say the absolute most proud I am is how many family dinners we've had and, just being together. I've been able to go to everything. I've been able to pick them up from school and take them place. I mean, it's really, you know, a blessing to be present with my kids this year.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I get that one with being, you know, home a lot more, and my fiance has been able to work from home. You know, I get to see her a lot more, which has been really nice. And with working in the food industry, you know, it's a lot of late nights, and you know, I don't wake up that early in the morning when I get home really late after a shift. But so now it's been nice when we're able to somewhat make more time for each other with just being at home. So I understand that completely. So, but Sara, thank you so much for coming on and talking with me tonight and sharing your story a little bit with everybody. I really appreciate it. For everyone watching, thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like my Facebook page, you know, share it, hit the bell for notifications, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And be sure to check back in next week when I am interviewing the founder of Savor We. It's a new business here in Chicago, so it should be pretty fun. But again, Sara, thank you so much for joining. And everyone out there, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week. So have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, Chef.